Rich here from Driftomaniacs. This is my MIP driveshaft upgrade for the Axial SMT10. Now you might be thinking, why is he showing me this? Well, there's kind of something missing here. These are the integy driveshafts that the car was fitted with previously, which are an upgraded driveshaft in themselves, and you will see in the following video what the problem is, and you can see exactly what it is there, no longer attached to the cup. That's because the power has made the thing oval as opposed to round, and that power in question would be, when I first tried it on the 6S packs, believe me, you thought this thing was quick before, it's now a monster. I knew that something else would probably bust on this vehicle, but I didn't think it would be the drive shafts. Anyway, let's take a look at the MIP drive shafts. I got these, as seen, highly recommended on the internet. It's a kind of name brand that I've heard of, but I'm not familiar with, if that makes sense, guys. But they look like they should do the job and stop this from happening and be able to lay that 6S power down. Anyway, if you want a quick look as to exactly how this happened, keep watching for just a second while I unpack this lot. Ooh. Oh, looks like it might be back to the drawing board in terms of what brakes under 6S power. Well, something always breaks on your SMT10, Rich. Well, I actually knew that from the outset because Jim at F&M Hobbies, which I highly recommend, linked to him below the video, in New Jersey, said that he had a guy when the Gravedigger first came out and he converted it to brushless, and someone used to break, and a guy'd be in every single day buying new uprated parts for it. Now, that guy at the minute is me. Care with the opening there, if you don't, because I can see a nice little couple of MIP stickers on there, which if this thing is good, they will go on the outside. Some free advertising for MIP, should you be listening or watching. So what have we got on our back? We've got a little tub of grease, we've got an instruction manual, which I'm definitely going to read as well. I'm sure these are fairly straightforward to put together. We've got our pack of all the goodies required to put the drive shafts together. So let's get these out, have a quick look at them. Separate the relevant parts into their relevant sections. And what I've got here, these are made entirely out of steel. The first thing being, these are the integy tubes here. This is just aluminum on here, whereas this bit was steel on here. The end fixing that it went into, I think that may be feeling its weight on that aluminum, which has caused the ovaling out under the pressure that the 6S and probably the 4S before that put on it. So you've got steel against aluminum on there. It doesn't feel like that steel, but I could be wrong. Anybody out there knows different, then do tell me. Anyway, setting that one aside, this is most definitely all steel. So we got oh, and they do come apart. Now, Hot Racing also do ones for this, but drive shafts is simply a tight fit in the housing in there. The MIP ones actually have got a there's a larger metal part that I'm going to put in just a second that goes in here, that goes through there, pin locks it all in place, so that is not going to come undone, fingers crossed, under any circumstances. Now you're looking at this end thinking, how the hell does that install on there? Well, it's the same that end, the ball goes on there, so the thing will look like that when it is all assembled. Now it says to apply grease to all moving parts, so we're looking at a thread on there and both ball ends. Parts out on the side here, we've got these 4 pins which have got a tiny little screw thread on the end of them. They're going to go through that, and that's going to attach the drive shaft to the car's axle. Moving forwards, we've got this little sort of, I'll call it a round part for want of a better name if you like. That is going to push through the side here. When you've got that little insert in there, this pin then goes through the side of the sleeve here, through the inside of that, and locks the whole and that is then going to lock the whole thing together. A little bit difficult to get on camera. You can use one of these little grub screws to go in the end of there, and that is then going to lock that pin in place when that is pushed through from the outside of the housing. Well, that's my first one installed in. A little bit tricky getting the pin to line up with the whole of the inside of the ball. Effectively, you've got 3 parts to line up with the sleeve pin in the inside of the ball as well. So a little bit of child-friendly language used off camera, but nonetheless, that thing feels super tight now. Well, it comes with grease. In order to grease this shaft successfully, you better go in, too much everywhere. I'm simply going to squirt some down the inside of the tube there. That up and down inside, that's nicely coating all that shaft with grease. Yeah, second ball joint there together. Bit of care needed. You need grease on the outside of the thing, you need grease on the sleeve, which I've inserted through the middle, but you've obviously put thread lock on the grub screw that goes through the middle that tightens up on this little pin in here, and you want to make sure you don't get the thread lock on the outside of that sleeve so the thing doesn't rotate when it's inside the sleeve. Hope that makes sense kind of there. So just going to pop that together and slide the pin through. Skill comes in lining the two holes up in the halves and getting it through the ball, which is where the problem areas can be. If you get it wrong, that's what happens. And when the pin is through, linking both halves together, simply tighten that grub screw up. As we said, it is a messy and fiddly job, I will say, but they are very, very well made. I can tell that you from the outset. Okay, and there is my first MIP uprated drive shaft ready to go back in my Axel SMT10. Just one more to do now. Second one much faster to fit together, typically, like all these things are. I found it helps to get the pin through the middle there. Actually, if you angle the thing over on a side, as far as it will go, that seems to aid the downward motion, which is beyond me. Now all that remains is to replace this one. Obviously you're going to have to remove this from the gearbox and this one at this end. Well, this one's in perfectly good shape. The integy one failing on the back leads me to think that if I replace one of these beefy boys on here, that the problem is just going to transfer itself to the front, and that's also going to overlap or cause problems. Aluminum, steel, which one's going to win? Obviously this one's going to win. I would point out this is a case of me using my expression, I do this so you don't have to. These things are about 60 bucks if you buy them at a good price on Amazon, far more if you buy them elsewhere. Links in below the video should anybody be interested in using them on their SMT. Hopefully these won't break. Okay, well, last thing doing before fitting the MIP drive shafts is just removing the other end of the drive shafts from the existing motor mount and the existing axles. So I'm in the MIP shafts. Just need to check the instructions to check do the shafts fit that way or do they fit the other way. I'm not sure there is too much of a preference on there, but I do know that this one is a lot shorter at this end, the fixing, than it is at that end. So I'm just going to read up on that briefly. I don't want to fit them and then find I put them on the wrong way. Also, do need to take care of the thread lock on there, as that one was a little bit tight first thing this morning. Well, I looked at the MIP video on YouTube, and they put this small end, the end that slides, well, both ends slide out, but the thinner end of the shaft goes towards the axle end. So the same at this end, the thin end towards the axle end. Okay, now to fit them, I've got the motor loose from the motor mount is loose there, so it's a little bit tricky, but you need the flexibility. That's going to slide over, then this pin is going to go through the hole. Well, I've got both the MIP drive shafts in place now. Things are looking quite good. Just got to put the motor back in. I've put Loctite on all of the grub screws going in here though. Well, everything's just about ready to go. Just got to refit the motor mount on there. Put Loctite on the shredded screws going through here and here for safety, given the amount of power that's going through this thing. Finished product, the MIP drive shafts all fully installed and ready to rock and roll. They look and feel like substantial items, so fingers crossed this is money well spent, and then we'll put down that 6S power test that I've got coming up for the SMT10.
You like this video? If you did, please click on the circle image to subscribe. And if you hit subscribe, then don't forget to hit that little notifications bell next to it.